I wanted to be part of the renaissance of Detroit, and I could have gone to the suburbs and honestly probably be doing more successful than I currently am. I mean, Oakland County is one of the wealthiest counties in the country. And people are still, like I said earlier, sometimes they're a little apprehensive. They've never been to this area. They're like, where is this at? I'm nervous, I'm apprehensive to drive there. I'm driving through some maybe unsavory parts. But like, I wanted to change the narrative and I wanted to be part of that change. And I live here, so I wanted to kind of like walk the walk and talk the talk. That was kind of like my purpose. And I wanted to be in my local neighborhood. Hey Eddy, welcome to FAIRCLOTH.
I think that we just holding on to something.
What do you think of the space as you walk by the front?
Amazing, colorful,
Yes.
vibrant.
So my name is Sara Faircloth, and I am from a small town in northern Michigan called Sheboygan, with a C, not with an S, not to be confused with Wisconsin. And so growing up, I went to Catholic school, so we had uniforms, but I always gravitated towards color, always. Like, I have 3 younger sisters, so my mom dressed the first 2 of us alike, and then that went out the window as more of us became a parent. It's harder to dress everyone and wrangle a bunch of circus clowns. But so there weren't really boutiques in northern Michigan. We went to a mall to go school shopping 2 hours away. It was really when I moved back, and so after college, I studied hospitality. I moved back to northern Michigan. I lived in Harbor Springs, Boyne City, Charlevoix, and Petoskey for 10 years, and I worked in the hospitality industry. And the first time I sat into this boutique, and it's called Threads, it's still in Petoskey, it was in Bay Harbor then, I immediately was like euphoric. And I'm like, I need to own a boutique someday. Like, this is me. Like, you kind of have like that feeling that overcomes you and you're like, this is what I'm meant to do at some point in my life. 20 years later, still had not done it. And it's all about, you're waiting for that perfect time, and there is no perfect time. There's no perfect time to have kids. There's no perfect time to get engaged, married, move, any of that. So sometimes you have to like grab the bull by the horns and just make it that perfect time. And COVID was kind of that. COVID also was not the perfect time to open a brick and mortar when people weren't shopping, people were losing their jobs. I was basically opening it in case I did get let go. But so I was living up north for 10 years in the hospitality industry and decided to move down to Royal Oak. And so I lived in Royal Oak, started selling commercial doors in the construction industry, which, as you can imagine, me selling doors to a bunch of guys, I definitely stood out. And then from there, got into the world of furniture, and that's where I've been for the past 9 years. Moved to Detroit. So my fiance and I have been together for 8.5 years, almost 9. And he bought a fixer-upper here in Indian Village. And so I've been here in this neighborhood for 6.5 years. Never came to Detroit my entire life, probably until I was in college. Being from northern Michigan, Detroit was not really somewhere you came unless maybe you're going to a game or a concert, which at 12 years old or 15, I was not coming down here to go to concerts. And so it's kind of special. Like, there is something about Detroit. I mean, the whole grit word and like, you know, we can push the envelope a little bit. Like, this store in Grosse Pointe, as much as we have Grosse Pointers shopping here, wouldn't fit in Grosse Pointe. So Detroit gives me the autonomy to let FAIRCLOTH be what I want FAIRCLOTH to be, and that is all about picking the place where you're opening your brick and mortar to make sure that you're setting yourself apart. The worst thing about boutiques that I see today or online is it all looks the same. It's all the same stuff. It looks like Amazon, it looks like trends. And here it's not like, yeah, trends are great. I love a trend, and it kind of helps people figure out what's cute and what's fun. I don't like cargo pants. They're trending. Haven't liked them since they were cool 12 years ago. So like, that's not something I'm gonna bring in here, but it's all about like dressing. I want it to be like iconic, timeless. Like, Ralph Lauren is one of my like iconic influences. He stood the test of time. His stuff can be a little avant-garde, but then it also like goes back to the Western vibes and the classic vibes, and he like has transcended time to then more like the Carrie Bradshaw, who like dresses really wild and like is, you know, set to like make a statement. So I have a lot of different people that I kind of garner influences from throughout my childhood that I try to strive to continue to be here in the store. I want it to be timeless pieces, not just trendy. I've never worked a day of retail in my life before opening FAIRCLOTH.
Wow.
And so we just celebrated our 3rd year here in February. So we got over like that first year, which they say if you can make it past first year, you're good. Second and third year have also been great, and we continue to grow. And so really hoping the next 2 years really kind of has like the proof in the pudding, and we see where we're at with everything.
Why open your spot in this particular neighborhood of the city of Detroit?
So they always say like location, location, location. So I've wanted to open a boutique for like 20 years, and I live in an Indian village, which is all historic homes. Indian Village is a hop, skip, and a jump right from here. And then we have West Village and Islandview. And so there's never been, we've had like some restaurants here, but I don't want to go to the suburbs to shop. I've lived in Indian Village now for like 6.5 years. And I want to shop local. I'm a boutique girl. I love unique boutique style. And so when they were building this building, it was COVID. And I sell commercial furniture, and I still do. I still have a full-time job. And I'm like, what if I opened a boutique? What if I lose my job? What's going to be my 2.0? And so my fiance then boyfriend is a general contractor, and he was like, okay, you can't keep spitballing about this over the kitchen counter. Like, you got to put together a business plan. And so this location being so close to where we live, it's also right in between downtown and Grosse Pointe. And so Grosse Pointe, for those that don't know, is a pretty like boutique-y, also very neighborhood, a little affluent, different little nooks that they want to come to Detroit, but they're still a little apprehensive at times. And so this is kind of what I thought would be a great bridge where we could pull from Grosse Pointe, we can pull from Detroit and mirror the two. So that's how I decided on this location. Also, we knew the developer, and it's always like you hear the nightmare landlord stories. Oh, they were great at first. It's like a bad date. And then all of a sudden, like they're great on paper, and then real life they're terrible. So we knew them, and they actually helped me like decide on the actual name. And so it just felt like a really good fit.
So you actually have a full-time job.
I do.
And so your 9 to 5, you kind of tell the viewers what your daytime job is?
Yeah, absolutely.
And how do you balance it between your 9 to 5 and your 5 to 9 when it comes to having, this shop that needs to have the type of attention in order for it to be successful and to continue for 3 years plus?
Sure, for sure. So my full-time job is I sell commercial furniture. So anything that's going into an office, higher education, K-12, just nothing for your house. I've been with the same manufacturer for 8 years. I've been in sales for 20 years. And it allows me, also I have a very kind of flexible schedule, and they really mirror each other. Like furniture and fashion kind of go hand in hand. So people that I'm calling on and how I dress immediately is a memorable experience, and then people are like, oh my God, I love your skirt. I'm like, oh, I also own a boutique. So it really parlays into both and really helps both. And then as far as like the 9 to 5 and 5 to 9, I mean, obviously the boutique is my passion. Fashion is my passion. I've loved it since I was a little girl. So it doesn't feel as much as work, but it's all about your team. Like I have my manager, Michelle, that's here, who is a complete and utter unicorn, and it's surrounding yourself with people that love the boutique as much as you do. Like no one's gonna love it as much as you do, because it's like, it's your baby. It's like not your niece or nephew, but like finding people that are really passionate about it and want to be on this, like have the same vision that you do in order to like, what is your mission of your why? And so having like Michelle, who embodies that to her core, was like Indeed. I found her on Indeed, which is like mind blowing. Like shout out to Indeed. And it's just been like that perfect match. And I also have another girl. I only have 2 people that work here. So it's really being particular in your people. Like they always say, like hire slow, fire fast. And like I truly believe in that, because it's your brand that they're in charge of your brand and making sure that everything that you want it to be is coming to fruition.
Let's double click on the FAIRCLOTH brand. Of course it's your last name.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is a pretty cool name to brand a retail shop.
Definitely, yeah. My sisters and I, so I'm the oldest of 4 girls, and really like fashion to me is all about like, it's your personal style. It's your individualistic way to express yourself without saying a word to anybody. So I'm the oldest of 4 girls. All 4 of us dress very differently, have very different style. And so my one sister and I, who lives in Detroit here and is a dentist, we always felt like fairly clothed. So it's a play on FAIRCLOTH. Because I'm like, am I that person? Like my last name is like on a building. Like, sometimes that can seem a little pretentious and like, who do you think you are? But the developers of the building were like very adamant. They're like, it needs to be FAIRCLOTH. Like That's your last name, it's who you are. You already are the brand every day. So it being your last name is a perfect liaison into what you're going to grow this business into being. And I do think, it's like a Stella McCartney, or you think of some of those other like big name brands like Beyonce, like they embody that brand. And so, not to say I'm on that level, maybe someday, maybe someday where people will know me like Beyonce, probably not, but that's okay. But that's kind of why I went with FAIRCLOTH, and really super happy I did, because it's really symbiotic as to who the boutique is, but also it's a direct reflection of me all day, every day. So I'm a brick and mortar like babe. I'm all about the experience. I studied hospitality in college. I've been in sales for 20 years. I'm all about the experience of like people. So I want people, when they walk in here, they feel better upon leaving than when they arrived. And that to me is something Amazon can never do. That's something Shein can never do. It's all about like, supporting the community. Like I've met so many incredible women through FAIRCLOTH that I never would have met in a million years having an online store. And I don't think an online store speaks to who I am and what I'm trying to accomplish like a brick and mortar does. Like you walk into this space and people's reaction is what I've always wanted to be. Like it's the wow factor. It's like, oh my gosh, it makes me so happy in here. Oh my gosh, look at all the color. Or even the people that are like neutral girls, they're like, I was just talking to someone yesterday and she's like, I just went to Palm Beach, and she's like, I'm a neutral girl, but she's like, I love all the color. People love color, they're just afraid of it. And so if we didn't have a brick and mortar, we'd never be able to help them overcome that fear and throw on the hot pink dress Tuesday and go out and rock it. I'd love to introduce you to Michelle, who is our manager, who is here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and manages the boutique for me. I'm in here obviously on weekends because I do work to have the full-time job. So would love to have Michelle's perspective, someone other than me being the owner, as to what her day-to-day looks like and her thoughts on FAIRCLOTH.
So I was born in Detroit, lived in Detroit as a young child, and then we moved around a little bit. I've moved out of the state, I've moved out of the country, went to school in Detroit, and so when it was time to kind of come back, I definitely wanted to come back to Detroit. I lived just outside Detroit. I live in Allen Park, downriver, but when I had the opportunity to work in Detroit, I was thrilled. That is exactly where I wanted to work. I wanted to be back in the city so that I can just enjoy this space, but I can enjoy Kercheval Avenue and everything that's popping up. It's really what's happening now.
Talk to me about managing this small boutique and your roots when it comes to sales and retail, and how that kind of translates into the ability to hold down the fort here over on the east side.
So I went to Wayne State for apparel design a long time ago. I've done a lot of things since that time. Worked in retail, worked in sales, and I was in a place where I was looking for something that was going to be very joyful, but very fulfilling as well. And social media is a wonderful thing because Sara put a blast out on social media that she wanted some help with her boutique. I was following her boutique, and so I answered her ad. We met, and it was instant love. It really was. As soon as I walked into the space, I noticed the ceiling looked like it was fur, which is incredible. And I think I remember telling you, it was like eye candy everywhere. So it is a joyful space. And you were asking Sara about online versus brick and mortar. You can't get that joyfulness unless you walk into a space. And it's really a lot about dialogue with women, right? We empower women all the time to feel their best. And that starts with looking your best. So that's really what FAIRCLOTH is all about. It's about having an experience through fashion.
This is interesting. So you actually were following FAIRCLOTH before you saw the post of the job opportunity.
Yes.
What drew you to FAIRCLOTH even before you were hired here?
Being a Detroit boutique, right? I like to shop small business as well. And it was just very beautiful and very interesting and very new. So when it comes up, new fresh things come up on social media, it's definitely a draw for me. And Sara does incredible videos of herself wearing the clothes, and it's dynamic, and you want to meet her and you want to come into the space. So apparel design is multifaceted in the sense where it does have a lot to do with color, pattern, texture, but I also know how to make clothes. So when you know how to make clothes, you know how clothes are supposed to fit. I also am a professional tailor by trade. So I really can help women put something on that fits them just by looking at them, right? Because it's not about, it's something that looks good is how it fits, right? We tell women all the time, there's no age in fashion. If it fits, please wear it, right? So all of that pulls into how I can help women style themselves well, help them with fit, and help them really feel good about what they're wearing. You know, having a brick and mortar as opposed to just having an online presence, women come in all the time who are in the process of a weight loss journey or an emotional relationship journey, and it's really helpful for them to try the store. It's not about what they buy, but it's about finding their style, finding their joy again in putting on clothes and seeing what fits. And we all help them do that. We help them try on things they normally wouldn't, step out of their comfort zone, put some color on. Now, you know, they've come out of their winter hibernation. They put on some color, see what looks good, and it really helps to change people. And you can't do that if you're just shopping online. You really do need to have that joyful space that you can come into and interact with other women.
Talking about FAIRCLOTH, obviously we're all about color, like every shade, every aspect, we love color. When I was coming up with the idea of FAIRCLOTH and what it's gonna look like obviously the clothes are gonna be colorful, and so I ended up, with my day job, I call on interior design firms. I was talking with some interior designers that are local here in Detroit. It's called Perini. They just finished Mad Nice. They just redid the apparatus room, so they're local. And they're like, oh my God, we'd love to do your boutique. And I'm like, that is not in the budget. So they're like, we'll work with you. We want to do this. This is like important. They're right down the street. And so they came up with the whole design. You know, I sent them some things I loved and like my Pinterest boards, and then they did like the color on the walls, the purple mirrors, you know, everything. And at first they sent it to me, I'm like, the purple ceiling. I'm like, I don't love it. And I never sent them purple, which is really interesting because part of I grew up in a very small town in northern Michigan. There were really not boutiques. But my grandmother was always someone that dressed up, even put lipstick on to go to the grocery store. And that's like where that was instilled with me. So her favorite color growing up was always pink, or mine was always pink and hers was always purple. So the purple thing was really like kismet, like something like from the stars, which I'm not like super woo-woo, but like that was like very like almost like my grandmother like speaking to me through like, this is like where you're meant to be, this is what you're meant to do. And so I'm like, okay, you're the expert, like this looks great, let's do it. Because they're like, Sarah, you can't have color on the walls, your clothes are gonna be colorful. Like that's what needs to stand out. So it needs to be more neutrals. And so I respected them and their decision, and it was fantastic, and I could not love it more. It's actually perfect FAIRCLOTH. And then as far as the color and the logo, like I was kind of playing around with it. And again, I'm not an interior designer. I'm a creative when it comes to fashion. I'm not a creative for certain other things. So it's like outsource the things that you're not good at and keep the things in-house that you are good at. And so they're like, we really want you to work with this branding person just to do your logo. And I'm like, again, not in the budget. And so I worked with a branding consultant. She's also local. It's I'm all about women supporting women. I'm like a big proponent. A lot of the brands we carry are women-owned companies. Her is Hubba Hubba Design. And she came up with this logo, no joke, the colors in 24 hours.
Nice.
And it is just so FAIRCLOTH. It just speaks to the brand. You see the logo, you walk into the store, and it all is perfection. It all works. And so there wasn't really, she looked at my Instagram and looked at me as a person. So it was a personal Instagram. I obviously didn't have the boutique. Looked at my Pinterest page and kind of understood like who I am and what I'm about. And that's how she came up with the different colored logo. So kind of thinking about how I source, what I pick, what gets to come and live at FAIRCLOTH, which is a privilege for all these little items. But I want them all to like go out and be worn in the wild. So the whole goal with when I'm buying things and looking for things is you're gonna wear it out into the wild and you're gonna get a compliment from a stranger. Obviously compliments from your significant others is great, but there's no better compliment. That's almost like it's a non-negotiable, otherwise there's gonna be a fight ensuing. But there's no better compliment from a stranger. When someone like feels inclined to come up to you, which is uncomfortable for majority of people, and say like, I love your dress, I love how you look. It's an icebreaker if you're out and about and you're in your real job. It's easy to go up and say, oh my God, I love the color yellow. And so that is the whole premises of what I buy is you're gonna wear it out, you're gonna get statement it's a statement. It's like someone on the street, someone might catcall you and be like, I love your dress, which happens to me and I love it. I mean, people have asked, like, do you ever get sick of getting compliments? I'm like, no, why would I ever? Like, it's the loveliest form of adoration that someone could give you. And so that is like the whole thing with going to buying shows. It's always like a bold print. It's a fun color. I'm looking for things that are fun and different and that are gonna set you apart. And that is the whole purpose of FAIRCLOTH. It's not to blend in, it's meant for you to stand out. And that's kind of the thing that keeps me going is people, when you have those bad days, which everyone has bad boutique days, like retail world is beyond a roller coaster at Cedar Point. It's got very highs and very big lows. But it's when like I'm in a low and it's always crazy. Like someone will text me a picture of themselves wearing FAIRCLOTH and like, I got so many compliments last night, like, or like, I can't wait to wear this again because I got so many compliments. And it's women of all ages. It's people in their 60s and 70s that maybe haven't ever like embraced this portion of themselves. And they're kind of like stepping outside their comfort zone, which is what it's all about here when you walk into this beautiful glass, colorful box, is stepping outside your comfort zone. And so we are finding more and more women that are like wearing the kind of fun, bold, different things that they maybe never have worn before, but it's also giving them compliments and it's boosting their confidence. And so that is our whole thing, is getting people's love tank filled and building that confidence. So every day they're getting dressed for themselves and showing up for themselves first and foremost before they have to do everything else throughout the day. So favorite fashion area, for sure, like 1920s, because it was like the flappers and the sequins and the embellishment and everybody dressed up. Like athleisure was nowhere to be found. And not to say I like the girdle vibes of it, but like just like everyone was like, just looked kind of majestic, like Great Gatsby type vibes. I went to Paris last year, and what I love about it is like everyone was dressed up. And not necessarily they were in like sequins, but they all looked put together. No one was wearing athleisure unless they were working out. And that is like one of my things I would love to change with the boutique is like leggings are not pants. You should not be wearing them out into the wild unless you are going to a workout class. And take them off, like burn them if you have to, because this is a COVID thing that we just need to all like eradicate, is throw on some like hard pants or some jeans and a cute top and see how much differently you feel when you go out, even if it's to Trader Joe's, than just in like looking kind of like a hot mess. Least favorite fashion trend of all time. I mean, cargo pants are not, like grunge. Grunge is not my jam, like the oversized baggy pants or, I lived in this era a little bit. Like I wore like flannels, like my dad's flannel and like his baggy jeans and just like the no shape. Like, so I would say grunge is probably my least favorite.
It's coming back now.
It is coming back a little bit.
Large suits that people are
Oversized, yeah. An oversized blazer I can get behind because like now maybe you're wearing something a little bit more form-fitted underneath it. But grunge was like a lot of like I love camo, but it was like a lot of like those camouflage colors. Like it wasn't a lot of like bright colors. Like one of my favorite trends of 2025 is maximalism is back. So it is like getting out and getting dressed and showing up and being bold and like put on all the jewels and, wear all the bangles, like an Iris Apfel, who was like one of my epic spirit animals who actually saw in New York City at a buying show. And I almost had a fangirl moment. But like, that's what I would say is my least favorite. So my go-to outfit, and I'm someone that ever since I was a kid, I think about what I'm wearing the night before. Because like most women in the morning, they're rushing around. Just think about the night before, even if you're laying in bed. Like, what do I want to wear tomorrow? What's my day look like? So I always kind of have that in my head as to what I'm wearing. Sequins for me are the showstopper. And it's because people normally don't wear sequins unless it's for an event or a gala, where I wear sequins every day of the week. So like today, I went to work, I had a meeting, I'm wearing a sequin skirt, I'm wearing tennis shoes, and I'm in sales. I work for a multi-billion-dollar furniture manufacturer, and people know me by how I dress. There's lots of Saras in the world, but there aren't a lot of Saras that wear sequins on the regular. So by choosing that and choosing what I wear and being able to dress bolder, it makes me a little bit more memorable, and especially in the world of sales. So I would say like, and that's what's different for everybody. Like Stay Fancy is like our little like logo here, and that fancy is like a state of mind. It doesn't mean fancy is Louis Vuitton or Prada. That is fancy, but maybe fancy to you is like putting on like your favorite pair of shoes and a nice pair of trousers and a button down and going out in the world and you kind of feel unstoppable. So it's truly kind of figuring out what fills your love tank and makes you feel super confident. Like my favorite pair of shoes are my Sarah Jessica Parker shoes. They're like my silver Dorothy shoes. Like I put them on, I feel like I can conquer the world. And so I would say like it's color, it's print, and sequins really are like my my showstopper, what I feel is like other people's like kryptonite. Like going, how I source.
Yeah, so maybe just kind of.
Yeah. So learning again, never worked a day of retail in my life. I did work with a local boutique and I hired her as like my consultant. So she went with me to my first buying show, which was in New York City. And it's like basically like Huntington Place full of clothes. It's all wholesale and it's all different brands at all different price points. And so you really kind of like her advice to me was like you walk around and see what speaks to you. And then you kind of look at like the price points and like, is this something that someone will pay $200 for, or that's not going to be my market? And at first I was very wary on that. I talked to a lot of boutique owners that I knew, even like Sacchini up in Birmingham, who's a custom suit maker who used to be in Detroit. And he's like, you have to have this mixed dichotomy. You have to have high and you have to have low, because the high is where you can make more profit versus the low where you're not making as much profit. So that was really interesting to me because I was all about like affordable fashion, and we've never had anything in the boutique more than $500. That's kind of like our top max limit. And so it's really going and walking through, and you have kind of a budget or idea in your head of, they say in retail, like say you do $20,000 a month in sales, then you should be buying $10,000 worth of month in inventory for that month. So that's kind of like that algorithm, which math and I are not friends at all. So that's simple math for me. And then I go to buying shows every so often. I went to one in Dallas. Going by yourself is pretty lonely. So you see a lot of boutiques that have like boutique buddies, or they're in business together. Like I met a couple of girls in a bar in Dallas that had boutiques in Texas, and we became like an instant trifecta of we shop together all the time. Their boutiques are very different than mine. One girl's a little bit bolder like I am. One's very like simplistic. And so you can bounce the ideas off of each other, because sometimes like, yes, I'll wear a purple caftan with feathers and rhinestones, but that's not everybody. And so I've definitely had some buying lessons where it's always the things that you think are gonna like fly off the shelf, don't, and the things that you don't think are gonna fly off the shelf, do. And so it's really starting to like learn your customer and learn their shopping patterns and who they are and what they want. Because a lot of times what I want, someone else might not want. But as I've grown FAIRCLOTH, you find the people that want what you want. They gravitate towards who you are. It's just like they all have their own certain followers and influencers that they love and love their style. Like some love Jacqueline Bissett Kennedy. She was very neutral and kind of tried to like hide within her clothes, where I'm the complete opposite. And so you kind of find that tribe that wants to, upset the apple cart in regards to fashion, and that's who you're buying for.
So what are some of the biggest surprises when you first launched your boutique?
So it definitely seems like all like roses and butterflies and unicorns owning a boutique. I mean, you have to play with fashion every day, you're going to buying shows, but like all the behind the scenes stuff. And also like if you build it, they will come. Not the case. We definitely have had people come, but it's definitely taken a lot of like hard work, like doing a lot of pop-ups, which pop-ups sound cute and adorable, but like they're a ton of work to pop up somewhere and like get the word out and like market. Especially with like Instagram and Facebook, like if you aren't like following their algorithms, like you're basically dead to them. So you have a lot of that kind of situation as well. So it's a lot of like tenacity. It's a lot of like in the morning, getting on, making sure you're posting something, making sure it's relevant. How are you trying to speak to your customer today? How are you trying to engage with them? What's new? Bringing them along through the journey, like the good times and the bad times. So it's a lot of that stuff is surprising. A lot of, I'm not an Excel spreadsheet girl. It's not my jam. Thank God my fiance is, and he built a great one for me to fill out. But like that kind of stuff matters. Like you have to know what your numbers are. You have to know the details. Like, yeah, great, we had a great sales day, but like what does that actually mean when you take away all of your expenses, all of your like the operating costs, the inventory costs? Do you have enough money? And just like I kind of thought it was going to be like, I'm going to open this and it's going to be epic and great instantaneously. And that was just not the case. It's taken a lot of time, and there's still hundreds of thousands of people in southeastern Michigan that have never even been here or maybe never heard of FAIRCLOTH, which is hard for me to wrap my head around, but it's true.
You opened the store in the time of COVID, and I would assume that we didn't necessarily understand to what extent COVID was going to change consumer behavior. If you look back now, and if you had the decision to open it knowing what you know now then, would you still have opened FAIRCLOTH?
I definitely would have still opened FAIRCLOTH because I truly feel like I would have this level of regret if I hadn't at least tried. And that's one thing I went back and forth with Shane about was, what if I open it and it fails? Because that's the number one thing people are worried about. They don't want to fail. Like, they're worried about like losing a bunch of money or not being successful. And then it's like this like scarlet letter on your like shirt that you failed. And it's like, I've listened to a lot of entrepreneurs and things along those lines. And like Mark Cuban's like, don't think of think of failure as success. Like, this didn't work. So now you know. So now you can try it a different way. So that was always my biggest thing. And Shane was a huge cheerleader champion for me to do this. If it fails, it's okay. Just continue to move on. I think, Detroit has great programs like Motor City Match and things like that were not activated when I opened. So maybe waiting a year and waiting to kind of get that kind of grant money would have been huge, but I had no idea if it was coming back or not coming back. If I really wanted this space, would this space be available? So again, it was kind of like, not necessarily am I ready or not ready, but it feels like the perfect storm, and it's time to just pull the trigger and go. And Detroit is one of my biggest, I would say, like negative attributes that I feel of Detroit is they don't do a great job of celebrating small businesses. And when it comes to retail, they do a great job of talking about new restaurants, like, oh, this new restaurant opened, but then they also have no problem saying when that restaurant closed. They don't talk about the retail businesses that are open. And the retail businesses almost need more of that publicity to get the word out versus the restaurants, because you have Eater Detroit and you have you have Yelp and you have all these other avenues where you can find out about new restaurants. Retail doesn't have that. And then people get upset when a retail business goes out, all of a sudden it closes its doors and they're like, we have no retail in the city, or we have no retail here. And it's like the community, you really have to build that community and that community support to shop small and shop local. You go out to restaurants, it's all local. You go grocery shopping, local. You maybe go to a bookstore, it's local. But shopping local, because of Amazon and because of that, did COVID change that consumer behavior 100%, the instant gratification. I mean, we deliver to Grosse Pointe, and it's me.
Wow.
It'll be me delivering your little FAIRCLOTH bag to your doorstep within 10 miles. And it's almost, again, that's elevate the sale, an extra little service. Maybe I get to meet someone I've never met in real life because I'm at your door like, Santa Claus. But so that's kind of like that surprise and delight, but you kind of have to go where the market is.
You could have easily put this in, let's say, Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
But you decided the east side of Detroit is where you want your headquarters. Talk about that decision.
So I want Detroit. I want to be part of the renaissance of Detroit. And I could have gone to the suburbs and honestly probably be doing more successful than I currently am. I mean, Oakland County is one of the wealthiest counties in the country. And people are still, like I said earlier, sometimes they're a little apprehensive. They've never been to this area. They're like, where is this at? I'm nervous. I'm apprehensive to drive there. I'm driving through some maybe unsavory parts. But like, I wanted to change the narrative and I wanted to be part of that change. And I live here, so I wanted to kind of like walk the walk and talk the talk. That was kind of like my purpose. And I wanted to be in my local neighborhood. I want to kind of hopefully try to inspire other people to open a store, open a home goods store, open something else. I think that Kercheval has the potential to be a mini Woodward. And if I can have a part of that, I mean, that's a pretty cool thing to kind of put a feather in your hat about.
Have there been moments where you doubted yourself? And you're 3 years in, so obviously you figured out a way to keep pushing, but how did you keep pushing?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's been some people tell me like I'm a Care Bear, like sensitive wise. I mean, I've definitely had some like emotional breakdowns where coming into the house and I'm like, this is not going to work. And, we have your first day, we don't have any sales, or, you're looking at retail is such a fickle economy. Where like what's going on right now with the tariffs, like people aren't spending money, or like COVID, or so it's discretionary income that people are deciding to spend with you. So definitely I've had my doubts. I've definitely, and I've always feel like people come through, or I get that amazing text, or someone posts something, or I see something at that right time that feels very kind of kismet, that like something is talking to me, telling me to continue to move forward. And so I've always said I would give the boutique 5 years. They say like you really have to put a minimum of 5 years into anything to see if it has the legs to grow. And I've had other markets say, I've had someone in Grand Rapids reach out to me and say like, we want you to open a FAIRCLOTH in Grand Rapids. And so like that kind of stuff, like, okay, like maybe I do have something here. Because it's, you're your biggest and worst enemy, your biggest fan and your worst enemy at the same time. And so I think like having other people kind of be your champions and your support is what you need. And especially in those bad times, you need that like that backup team that's like, no, you are doing that. You are doing a great job. It is making a difference. Like, look how much you've grown in 3 years. And it's all organically. Like, I haven't done any paid advertising. I haven't, done the pay to play. I've just been bootstrapping it. And I think that is a big part of why I've been successful. I'm like I have all of my chips in the FAIRCLOTH basket. And I want it to be uber successful. And I'm going to kind of go down with the ship. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I gave it my all. What's
a myth about running a boutique that people sometimes get wrong?
I mean, it's all fun and games. And it is. It's so fun in here, and I love it. And it is fun and games 80% of the time. It's the times when, I haven't had this issue where, like, you can't pay your rent, you can't pay your employees. Like, I've been very fortunate. I've never had that yet here at FAIRCLOTH. And so that's, I think, that perception of, like, also why I work full-time still. Because if I ever had to put some of my money into it on a different perspective, I have the opportunity to do so. But I also love my full-time job, and I think that feeds FAIRCLOTH. That helps open up. We do events here through my real job at the boutique. I've met so many people that have gone from the furniture world to the fashion world because of my real job. So I think that I would say, and this is what someone told me when I hired them as a consultant that had a boutique, and she's like, if you can work full-time and do this, do it and do that if you can, if it makes sense, if you can do it. It's a lot of work and it's sometimes harder versus putting all your eggs in the boutique basket, but it will give you a little bit more of a safety net.
What advice would you give someone wanting to open up a fashion boutique such as this in 2025?
I would say, like, just do it. Like the Nike slogan, like back in the day. I mean, I think you just have to know, like, who you are and what is your boutique going to be? What is your authenticity? Because if it's just going to be chasing the trends, like, that's not going to work, and that's not going to be successful. And I feel like that'd be a waste of your time, money, energy, happiness, stress. I think you have to find what is the why that you want to do it. Is it because it's your passion? Is it because you're trying to make the world a more colorful place? Is it because you're trying to normalize sequins 365 days a year? Like, those are my whys. Is it building up confidence in women? Is it having them put themselves first? Like, those are my whys. I think you have to have that down to figure that out, and it's figuring out the location. Like, I know another store that was in Detroit and is now in Grosse Pointe, and she's struggling a little bit. And so it's like finding your tribe and your community and making sure that they want to see you succeed and show their support by essentially shopping with you and spending their money. So social media is like, it's a non-negotiable. It's a necessary evil. I like social media. I like Instagram. I don't mind being in front of the camera. So for me, it's very easy to do. So on Sundays, I do try-ons of the new items. So you can see the style. You can click a button and it can get sent to your house. That was something that was very important with me when I started the Brick-and-Mortar. Is a lot of boutiques that I have found or along the way, they never had websites pre-COVID. So if you think about that, I met this one boutique owner. She's based in Iowa. She bought her mother's boutique. It's been there for over 20 plus years. She never had a website until COVID. Wow. Everything was brick and mortar, and she was a $1 million a year boutique. Wow. So, like, talking again about COVID and how it changed us, she then had to get a website. So when I opened, a website was non-negotiable, because think about the millions of people that shop online and that are never going to step foot in Detroit. Right. So that opens up the essence of FAIRCLOTH on a wide world platform. I think with staying grounded, I mean, it is kind of funny because people do recognize me, Sara, hey, like, and I don't know who they are. But I think that that's just me. Like, I'm a very social person. I love meeting new people. I love helping women find their style. I would love for someone to come up and be like, oh my gosh, like, I started wearing color because I started following your videos, or I follow you online, I wanted to come meet you. I think it's funny. I think it's amazing. Like, I'm a normal person from Northern Michigan, like, small town girl, literally. I'm definitely more of a city mouse, as you can say. Like, I would wear this kind of stuff up north and people are like, oh, that's just, it's just Sara, like, what have you. But I think that it just is part of who I am. I'm not someone that ever gets a big head or can ever see myself even that happening to me at any level. I love it. I love people coming up to me. Shane probably not so much because he's a little bit more of an introvert, where I'm an extrovert. So, like, that fills my love tank, that people love watching FAIRCLOTH and love, if I can inspire anybody to dress differently and be bolder, I mean, I could not ask for anything more in my lifetime. So we are in West Village. So we're on Kirchville and Van Dyke, on the corner of Kirchville and Van Dyke. It's literally like this beautiful little glass jewel box. If you drive by us, you won't miss us because it's rainbow bright in the window. But we're a mile from Belle Isle, because a lot of people have not heard of West Village. They've heard of Indian Village maybe, and then you have Islandview, but we're a mile from Belle Isle, right off of Jefferson. If you've been to Merrow or Sister Pie, we're right across the street from that. But this Kirchville, like I said, it has the potential to be a mini Woodward. So come down, check it out. There's lots of little bars and restaurants in the area. There's also other boutiques in walking distance, so you can make a little day of it.
You will be amazed at how diverse our customers are. It is all ages, all walks of life. Everybody gravitates to FAIRCLOTH because there really is something for everyone here. And you might not know it when you walk in, but you definitely know it before you leave.